Akpabio is doing is flagrant abuse of power.
Anybody that is interpreting the judgment to the extent that the judge order for the recall of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan is not doing justice to that judgment.
When you see these people come out here and try to twist their tongues to, finding a way to sabotage the truth, the facts, the law, it's just embarrassing and disheartening.
Court didn't order Natasha's recall. Legal expert Ekemini Udim clarifies. You're welcome to Naija Anchor News. The controversy surrounding Senator Natasha Akpoti's suspension has taken a new twist. After attempting to resume at the Senate, the Kogi Central lawmaker was denied entry despite claiming that a court judgment had ordered her recall. However, legal practitioner Ekemini Udim says otherwise. Speaking with newsmen, Udim clarifies that the Federal High Court never ordered her recall. Instead, he explained that the court only made recommendations to the Senate, urging it to reconsider its rules.
The judgment is very simple. Written in plain English, and anybody that carefully reads the judgment will see clearly the position of the trial judge in that matter. Recall that what came out first was the judgment order, the ruled order, which is the summary of the judgment. And after that, we now have the certified true copy of the full judgment. And I must say, if you read the entire judgment, you will appreciate Justice Natasha more, because she has taken time to explain how she arrived at a particular decision of that court. The judgment is very elaborate, and in fact, it has even offered more than the ruled order, presented. And it is very clear. My Lord has not said, recall Senator Natasha. What the judge said was that you cannot do like this, you cannot do like that, and then makes a recommendation to the Senate and says, Senate, think of how you can amend your rules. That does not say, that you cannot equate that to say, recall Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. And therefore, anybody that is interpreting the judgment to the extent that the judge order for the recall of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan is not doing justice to that judgment. That judgment is circulated everywhere. It never said recall. It rather recommended for amendment of the rules of the Senate, and even went ahead to recommend amendment of the Privileges Act, that is applicable to legislators at the National Assembly. Make recommendation to say, well, the way it is now, there is no limit provided in any of these, the legislation, that is the Act, and also the rules of the Senate, talking about the duration upon which you can suspend a senator. Now, that you cannot allow it to be like that. Any law that allows it to be open-ended like that is not really good. Okay? For that reason, I hereby recommend that you amend. And I think it is left for the Senate, it's left for the National Assembly to sit back and then amend their rules. Because, the courts cannot make rules for the Senate, cannot make rules even for the House of Representatives. It is for the Senate, the House of Representatives, to look back at that judgment and say, well, there is a recommendation from a court of law, and we are law-abiding citizens. We preach obedience to orders of court, to rulings of court, and the position of the court. It is a recommendation. Gentlemen, can we look at this recommendation and see how we can amend? But to say that the judgment of Justice Natasha stated clearly that Senator Natasha should be recalled, honestly, I'm afraid it is not in that judgment. If that is the interpretation given by anybody, I'm afraid.
It's embarrassing to see or listen to a lawyer sound the way that gentleman just did. It's stated clearly in the Constitution that the judgment is a decision of the courts. That's what a judgment is. Decision of a court. And this decision can come in different ways. Do you understand? It can come as a recommendation. It can come as an order. It can come as a conviction. It can come as a statement. The Constitution also stated clearly in section 218. Is this section 218? Yes. That any decision of the court is binding. on any institution across the federation. So when you see these people come out here and try to twist their tongues to, finding a way to sabotage the truth, the facts, the law, it's just embarrassing and disheartening. The court has said this is excessive and unconstitutional. Whatever laws you have in your Senate, as long as it's not constitutional, it deserves to be called out and repaired. And it deserves to be called out and repaired. This is not the first time that a Senate has been suspended for this number of days, and every time it has happened, the court has corrected it. That you cannot suspend a senator for 180 days. You are denying their people the right to representation. So why is this lawyer here saying that it is a recommendation? Is a recommendation not a decision of the courts? And is the decision of the courts not binding? What Akpabio is doing is flagrant abuse of power. Let's call a spade and stop this. Let's save Nigeria. Please, I don't know what else to ask there, because the constitution is there to guide.
You see, the problem that I see is that a lot of people are taking this matter from the emotional angle, and it becomes a problem when you do that. Like the lady guy in the studio, she's obviously taking it from a very emotional angle, and this is not good for Senator Natasha. This must be taken from the angle of law. It is a legal issue. Now, if you are saying that there is a recommendation of the court which is in favor of Senator Natasha, why has Natasha gone to the Court of Appeal appealing against that judgment? This is a judgment that has been appealed against. The matter is here to be heard at the Court of Appeal. And you are encouraging Natasha, the beautiful lady here in the studio, you are encouraging Senator Natasha to move to the National Assembly, and anytime to the National Assembly, you have an appeal at the Court of Appeal. How does that look? How distant does that look? Now, go back to that judgment. Read that judgment clearly, line by line. You will not see where the trial judge made a recommendation, made a ruling and said, recall Senator Natasha. What the trial judge did, the judgment is clear, everybody sees it. What the trial judge did was, I have looked at the rules of the Senate. There is no limit as to the period of time to suspend. I have looked at the Privileges Act. There is no limit. And this is not good for democracy. Okay? I recommend that the Senate should amend this, because already a senator has 180 days a year. If you suspend somebody for 6 months, that's not good enough. That's looking somehow going by the provisions of the Constitution. Honestly, there is no provision that says, there is no section of that judgment that says, recall Senator Natasha. And let me say this. Senator Natasha is somebody that I have so much love for. You saw the way she came to the National Assembly, so much struggle and all that. A lot of Nigerian citizens love that lady. But let's call a spade a spade. What needs to be said needs to be said. Now, let's now go to court. She's the person that went to the court. Sorry, please. She's the person that went to the court. And that judgment wasn't in favor of Senator Natasha. She had gone to the Court of Appeal. Don't you allow the Court of Appeal to go through and decide the matter before you go? It's not a mock matter. It's not a matter that you say no.
What? Okay. I would first of all react to what he said. What I would not do is sit down here and allow anybody twist what the court said or what is happening. I will not allow anybody try to twist the narrative in my before. Senator Natasha is going to the appeal court to appeal the judgment of contempt. Please, let's get it clear. The court found her wanting for contempt and fined her 5 million naira and apology to be published on 2 national dailies. I will jog your memory, barrister. During the proceedings in the courts, the last day of deliberation, the defendants brought a case of contempt before the judge in Yako. And the judge already said, this case you brought before me is that of the sexual allegation. The one before me, the case before me, is that of suspension. And even asked them, would you want to withdraw? Because this is not the case before me. And they said they would think about it. It was shocking to see the judge now give a verdict on the case she clearly said was not before her, fining Natasha 5 million naira and ordering her to apologize to 2 national dailies. Of course, Natasha should appeal. So when you now try to bring it up like she's appealing the judgment, or no, she's just appealing the case of contempt, and that's between her and the courts. I'm sounding like this because I want Nigerians out there to understand what's going on. In fact, it is Akpabio that has appealed the judgments. Akpabio has appealed. Natasha is a respondent. Even the Senate is a respondent. The clerk of the National Assembly is a respondent. I wish channels can display this on the screen. It is not even the Senate that appealed. It is Akpabio that appealed the judgment that favored Natasha. So please, let's get these things clear and stop trying to twist the truth and deceive Nigerians. The court has ordered the Senate to recall Natasha. The flagrant abuse of power has been for long too ignored. And so she just went there to resume her responsibility, which I don't see as a crime. The court has ordered.
You see, my reaction to that is this. The court did not order for the recall of Senator Natasha. And we have to get this clear. What's so difficult to understand in that judgment? The court has not ordered for the recall of Senator Natasha in that judgment. Now, let's even agree that the court has ordered for the recall of Senator Natasha. How do you go about enforcing the judgments of the court of law? You don't take a crowd of people to go to the institution where you're working. What do? There are ways to enforce judgments of courts. You take up contempt proceedings against the Senate President. If he's the person that has refused to obey the order of the court, the Senate President has no immunity. So you take up contempt proceedings against the Senate President. And the court will raise him on the Senate President. Now, you don't enforce orders of court or judgments of court. And this is the point that I'm saying. Let's separate emotion from this matter. This matter is pure issue of law. If the Senate President has refused to respect the order of the court, well, you take up contempt proceedings against him. He doesn't have immunity. But that's not what happened here. And let's not forget, our distinguished Senator Natasha is a lawyer of 20 years standing, was called to bar in 2005. She knows how to go about the way of the law or allow her lawyers to guide her. Now, when we talk about the issue of Senator Akpabio being the one that is persecuting, I'm not speaking for him, I'm not the spokesperson, but let's look at it. This is a pure issue of law. When you want to go on appeal, the names of the parties that were in the trial court must be reflected in your notice of appeal. You have to reflect all of them. So out of, let's say, 5 defendants at the trial court, one person can decide to appeal against the judgment. That one person is the only appellant. All other persons have to be listed after Senator Natasha. So there is nothing wrong with that notice of appeal that has been filed by the Senate President. You never can tell whether the other parties also want to file their appeals independently. And they have the rights to do that.
Right.
So when the narrative is made to say that because of the filing by Senator Akpabio, it means that Senator Akpabio has a personal matter against Senator Natasha. Don't forget that the name that Senator Akpabio is using at the Court of Appeal is the same name that Senator Natasha used in describing him at the trial court. And the law allows him to proceed to the Court of Appeal and then list others as defendants, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like I say, I totally understand what's going on. It is not good for a senator to be out for this period of time. Okay, she needs to be there representing her people. I pray for her to return to the Senate. But we must understand that this is a pure issue of law. And if it is the judgment of Justice Nathan that Senator Natasha is to enforce, this is not the best way to enforce judgments of courts of law. Senator Natasha is a lawyer. You take the proper route in law and impose judgment.
Okay, I won't be shocked if Senate spokesperson can be that careless with his words. You know, they see Nigerians as jokers. They see Nigeria as a joke. Nigeria has become an open crime scene. But let them be aware that this generation will fix it. Don't allow them, abuse the judiciary. Yes, lawmakers are now lawbreakers. That's what we are saying. No matter how much my brother here tries to twist the narrative, want to whip up the whole don't be emotional talks by Senator Akpabio, this 10th assembly is one of the worst Nigeria has ever had. And people need to call it what it is. The court has ordered Senator Natasha to be recalled. I will state it here again. A judgment is a decision of the courts. And a judgment can come in different ways. As a conviction, as a sentence, recommendation, as an order. And this section 287 states clearly that the decision of a court is binding on anybody in the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
All right.
So let's watch as Senator Akpabio flaunts court order and find a way to twist the narrative.
Senator Natasha, who was suspended in March over alleged sexual harassment accusation against Senate President Akpabio, had gone to court to challenge her suspension. While many believe that the court has backed her return, Udim insists that the matter must be approached legally, not emotionally. Following her denial entry, Senate spokesperson Yemi Adaramodu reaffirmed that she remains suspended and cannot resume legislative duties. The Senate president is reportedly appealing the court ruling. For now, Senator Natasha says she will consult her legal team on the next step. This is Naija Anchor News. Stay tuned and stay informed. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more updates.